Hey guys, welcome back to week 2 of our online course, I suppose. I hope everybody's doing okay with their lockdown and adjusting to the new format of the courses that you guys are taking. If you're having any problems, please always feel free to email me. I know that this is new to all of us, so I'm sure that there's been bumps already, or if not, they're going to be coming. But as long as we communicate and stay in touch with each other, I think we'll be okay. Okay, we started the division and classification essay, which is a pretty tough essay, and we're not spending a whole lot of time with it. I hope that you've already noted that peer review is next class. I'll talk about what I need you to do between now and then so that we're all on track and that we can get this essay in and start the argumentative essay. Okay. Usually on today, I like to go over the essays that I've assigned. I'm not going to be reading them word for word. Hopefully you've done that. If not, I'll know. A Blackboard can track who's doing what. So if you're behind or you're not doing what I'm asking you to do, please do so. This is a tough essay. I want everybody to succeed. So looking at as many examples as you can and understanding how this type of essay works is really important. Okay. What I am going to do is point out a few things in each of these essays and talk about how they will or will not work for your own essay. All right, so the importance of what I'm going to say here in the next few minutes is what in these essays is good, what in these essays is bad, and that you want to avoid. Okay, so I'm going to start with the third essay in the book, the World Religions essay. I really do not like this essay at all. Okay, and the reason is, as I said last class, you have to, for this assignment, create your own model. Okay, nobody can turn in this essay and claim to me that he or she invented Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity. Okay, so do not take an existing model and try to pass it off. All right, you need to think for this assignment. You need to come up with something that only you would think of. It has to be original. All right, so think of the essay I provided about werewolves, zombies, vampires, and demons. Okay, those terms obviously existed, but using them to describe the bad students I've had in my life, that was new to me. You could look that up on the internet, and unless there's a crazy great coincidence, you're not going to find that essay or those ideas anywhere else. So I'm looking for the same thing from you, all right? Okay, so that's a major problem I have with this essay, World Religions. Right. Other than that, I want to break it down, point out some of the features that this essay has to have, and then make sure that you guys get those in your essays. All right, so by now, hopefully, as you know, one of the first things I look at is the introduction, and I look for an introduction strategy. All right, so this first sentence obviously is not a question. I'm ruling that out. It's not telling a story. Okay, I think I would give this essay credit for doing the broad to narrow thing. Okay, it starts out with the meaning of life. It talks about faiths. It narrows it down to some faiths, and then it has the thesis statement. Okay, something else I don't like about the thesis statement is it doesn't take into account everything that would fall into the bubble. Okay, I mean, even the introduction itself notes that there are other religions that aren't Buddhism, Islam, or Christianity. Okay, so again, whatever you choose to divide and classify, you need to make sure that it covers everything. All right. I suppose an argument could be made that they're trying to limit. They're not looking at all religions, but the 3 main religions. Still, you know, if you have a qualifier, make sure you get it in there. Make sure it's obvious. But you know, if you're going to do all vehicles, and you leave out motorcycles, there's going to be a problem. Okay, so figure out how to maybe narrow down your thesis, or maybe make your categories broad enough to cover everything there is. Okay, so that's what I have to say about this introduction. All right, like I said, I'm not going to be reading every sentence. You guys hopefully have done that yourselves. Okay, all right, so let's look at this topic sentence. I don't see any transitions, which bothers me. The topic sentence says, Buddhism is the oldest religion in the world, which is a common component of various civilizations of the East. Okay, I really don't like this as a topic sentence for this type of essay. All right, a topic sentence for this essay should just announce one of the categories, okay? And then the second sentence, okay, which here is, its philosophy is deep and original. This sentence has to be a definition, okay? So this essay has to define for me what Buddhism is. Maybe this sentence is here, mainly focus, Buddhists mainly focus. I don't even really see one sentence that really defines what Buddhism is, okay? So again, I think this essay is not a very strong example of the type of thing you should be doing. Really, I mean, the whole paragraph kind of defines what Buddhism is, but there's not one sentence that really tells me what Buddhism is. All right, well, Buddhism is the oldest religion in the world. Islam is newest by time and the second by the number of adherents. The world religion. Looks like there's a word missing there. Anyway, one thing I do like about this is the blended transition. We talked about those last week, okay? So I like how this takes what came before, Buddhism, okay, and then merges it with the new topic. Now again, this sentence has to be the definition, okay? This is one of the most common religions, okay? That does not define Islam for me, okay? I need a sentence that really tells me what Islam is. How can I recognize it as different from Buddhism or Christianity, okay? So all of this paragraph kind of starts to flesh that out, but remember, for every body paragraph you have, you need a topic sentence that introduces the point, and then the second sentence has to define, tell me exactly what Buddhism is, tell me exactly what Christianity is. Oops. All right. Opposed to Islam and Buddhism, Christianity is the most widespread religion in the world, okay? Again, a nice blended transition there. It references what came before as it introduces Christianity, okay? What it lacks, like the others, is a definition. Its followers include about 1/5 of the population of the earth, okay? That's great, but that doesn't tell me what Christianity is, okay? So make sure that that second sentence in each case is a definition, okay? So you can see I have a lot of problems with this essay. Last sentence I always look at to look for a conclusion strategy. Religion has been and remains today an important factor in the development of any civilization. Not really a prediction, not really a recommendation, not a question. I think this essay would score rather low on the rubric that we use to evaluate these essays. So things to take out of this essay. You have to have an original idea, okay? Do not try to take something that exists already and pass it off as your own, all right? You are not allowed, football fans, to take a defense and break it down into the defensive line, linebackers, and secondary, okay? Those ideas already exist. Okay, same thing with baseball fans. You can't take the baseball team and divide it into outfield, infield, and battery. Okay, those things, those terms already exist. Okay, don't try to take a sports league and divide it into the 3 divisions. Okay, somebody's already done that for you. All right, so be original. Do something on your own. Okay. Second thing, remember the format we talked about last class. Generic topic sentence introduces the division, okay, and then the second sentence of your body paragraph provides the definition. What is a blank, okay? Third, make sure you cover it all, okay? If you're going to do all religions, you can't just do these 3, all right? There's many, many, many different religions. Part of the goal of this assignment is figuring out how to lump things together and what definition does that, okay? So this essay gives you kind of an idea of what division and classification is all about, but it's a really poor example of the type of thing that I'm asking you to do. Okay. This one I think works a little better. This is the one about computers. All right, and it's a little longer, which is good because, again, as a reminder, this essay you're doing has to have 6 body paragraphs, or I'm sorry, 6 paragraphs. An introduction, 4 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. All right, so we're starting to kind of ramp things up and get you ready for 101. Okay. I don't know what introduction strategy I would give this person credit for. Again, probably a broad to narrow thing. It starts with the idea of computers, people who use computers, and then we get down to the thesis. All right. There exists various types of computer users. All right. So we already know by now that this is missing something. All right. I'm pausing so that you can think about what that is. Okay, so this person obviously needs a forecasting statement. All right, what are the various types of computer users? All right. Now, we all use computers. I hope that as you go through this essay, you can identify yourself as one of these people. All right, and as you start to look at the support in the body paragraphs, you recognize some of the behavior that you see in yourself, and you can say, okay, I'm this person, I'm this person. Okay. All right, so here's your topic sentence. First, the downloaders are the people who use the computer mainly for the purposes of downloading anything that is free. Okay. Better topic sentence, I think, than what we saw with the last essay. But this person makes a mistake that I see very often in this assignment. What you have going on here is you've got the topic sentence that introduces downloaders, but it also provides the definition. Okay, these are the people who use computer mainly for the purpose of downloading anything that is free. Okay, for me, you have to separate these two things. They do two different things. The topic sentence introduces downloaders. The second sentence is the definition. That's the one that defines who downloaders are. Okay, so make sure if you don't want to lose points that you follow that format. Okay, topic sentence, then definition. Okay. Then what this body paragraph does well is it gives behaviors and shows how these people work. Okay. You've read it. I'm not going to kind of dwell on that. Okay. Second, the shoppers are the people who are constantly surfing the internet for the newest clothes or other types of accessories. Okay. Before I go on, I'm going to pause and I'm going to ask you a question. If you were me and you were grading this essay, would you give the author credit for a 4, a blended transition, or a 3, just kind of a generic transition? Okay, and the answer is I would give it a 3, all right? It's got a transition, second, but it's not in any way blending with what came before. It doesn't mention downloaders in any way, okay? Once again, the author's doing the same thing. The topic sentence introduces the definition, all right? So I would be taking points off for that, okay? You want to make a generic topic sentence and then move on to the definition in the second sentence. All right. I want to talk about qualifiers in a minute as well, because you might at this point think to yourself, well, I shop and I download things, so am I a shopper or a downloader? All right, so I'm going to make sure I talk about qualifiers before this lecture is over, I hope. Hope I don't forget. Okay. Third, the game freaks are the people who spend their time playing games online. Okay. Again, this is kind of a 3 transition, all right? It would earn a 3, but it doesn't blend anything, all right? So hopefully after the activity we did last week, you're kind of recognizing that a little more and more conscious of it in your own essays. And again, something that bothers me about this person, we've got the topic sentence and the definition all blended together. Okay. The body paragraphs, though, are very good. They give examples of kind of the behavior that these people engage in. So if I'm one of these people, I can kind of recognize, oh yeah, I do that. Okay. Fourth, the hackers spend most of their time breaking into computers. All right. Now here's a good qualifier. All right. I'll hammer home the same point. Not a blended transition. Merge the topic sentence and the definition. But I like this word most. Okay. Because if you read this essay, you might think to yourself, well, wait a minute. I do a little hacking and I do a little shopping. So I'm a hacker and I'm a shopper. Okay. So that's where qualifiers come in. All right. Words like most or often or sometimes or usually. All right. Words like that help delineate which category everybody might go into. Okay. So you can be a shopper, All right, you can shop online, you can communicate online. But a qualifier like most asks you, well, what do I mostly do? Okay, what is the main purpose I have for using the computer? So there may be some overlap in that, yeah, I do all of these things, but you know, the qualifier asks you, well, what is my primary purpose for using the computer? Okay, so words like that give you a little freedom to say, like, yes, people might do all of these things, but the way we're gonna define them, the way we're gonna qualify who goes where, is a qualifier like this that says, well, if you mostly do this, this is where you belong, regardless of whether you do some of those other things. Okay. Sentence like this, there was even a movie made a couple years ago called Hackers, and it told of the many exploits of high school hackers. Okay, that's a sentence that strikes me as maybe not being unified. It doesn't define for me what hackers are. So that's one of those sentences that I might ask a student to remove and say, like, you know, it doesn't really support your topic sentence. Yes, it's related to hackers, but it's not information that really bolsters the topic sentence or the thesis. Okay, so if you've been losing points for unity, and I've been calling attention to sentences like that, keep that in mind. Okay, finally, the communicators are the people who live to check their email accounts. Okay, a couple reactions I have to this. It's got some of the same problems we've been talking about: transitions, definition with the topic sentence. I would say here's a case where we're too narrow. Okay, if this is the definition, who live to check their email accounts, I think you're leaving out a lot of people who would normally fall into the communicators bracket. There's a lot of ways to communicate on the internet. Okay, social, Facebook and Twitter and all those things is an example that comes to mind. Okay, but the definition right now is so narrow that the author has prohibited himself from talking about those things. Okay, so if you're trying to hit everybody who spends time on computers, you want to make sure that your definition is broad enough so that you can account for everybody. Okay, I'm thinking of my wife right now, who spends a lot of time on Facebook. She uses it for her business. She uses it to communicate with people. I would call her a communicator. Of the 5 categories we've looked at, she definitely belongs in this category, but the definition is so narrow, it limits and prevents her from being counted. So in terms of development, I'm going to deduct points from this essay because the definitions aren't broad enough to account for everybody. Okay. So let me just take a look at that last sentence. The most interesting of the types of people the computer use is created. I don't really see a conclusion strategy there. So be consistent and conscious of using an introduction strategy and a conclusion strategy. That's why I always ask on peer review which one is being used, so that people are deliberately using these things and not just hoping to accidentally get points. Okay, so we've looked at 2 examples of this genre in preparation of your own essay. And as a reminder, I'm going to say this 3 or 4 more times, the rough draft is due next class. I'll talk about the homework that you have to do between now and next class. But really my goal moving forward is to get you prepared for that. I know it says on the syllabus today that we're going to do fact and opinion. I'm going to bump that over to next class in lieu of more kind of one-on-one instruction. Well, you and I are going to have to do a little communication between now and next class so that we're all ready for this essay and we kind of know where we stand in the class. Okay, I don't know. I personally think this is the most brilliant essay, possibly in the book. And I'm not just saying that because of the name that I'm trying to hide now. I hope you enjoyed this essay. I wrote it specifically so that it would serve as an example for exactly what you should be doing for this type of assignment. Okay. And, I mean, you can tell when I wrote it just based on the titles that I'm evoking. Okay. So I kind of did a broad to narrow thing, hopefully got people's attention, and then I've got my thesis. All superheroes can be divided into created from scratch beings, aliens, mutants, and altered humans. Okay. Now again, I didn't invent these terms, although maybe how I define some of them may be important, but my goal was to take every superhero that you can imagine and break them down into these groups. So I probably should have done this before you read it, but you know, if you can think of a superhero that I don't mention in this essay, and then we can kind of figure out where it belongs. Okay, I've had people talk about RoboCop or the Powerpuff Girls or Mighty Mouse or Underdog. If you can think of another that's not here, kind of bring that to mind, and then we'll see if my model works. I'm going to be honest. I used to use this as an example in class, and I went through the same process that everybody else is going through while writing this essay. I used to present it as just aliens, mutants, and altered humans. And then one day in class somebody said, well, what about the Vision or Red Tornado or something? I can't remember. And I went, oh, geez, I don't know. So I had to go back to the drawing board. I had to create this small scratch beings category. Okay. When we do peer review, expect the same thing. I'm going to ask people to challenge your model. Okay, I want to see some revisions between peer review and the final draft so that you have the best possible model. Okay, so hopefully I modeled exactly what I want you to do. I should have a topic sentence and then a definition. Okay, the first group, created from scratch beings, is undoubtedly the smallest. Okay, so there's my topic sentence. I've got a transition first. I introduce the thing, and that's it. All right, and then the second sentence should be the definition. Created from scratch beings are individuals or entities that had no prior existence and were uniquely fashioned to participate in the world of superheroics. Okay? And then what I try to do is give as many broad examples as I can. All right, so I talk about robots, I talk about a homunculus, I talk about clones. Okay, so I'm trying to give diverse examples to show how broad that category can be so that it can collect anything that's going to fall within that definition. Okay. All right. If I'm going to be honest, this is probably not the best topic sentence in the world. The next group is one that has been popular in comic books since 1938. All right. I don't have a blended transition, at least. I have the word next. I don't even say the word aliens, so I might be taking points off my own essay for this topic sentence. Okay, but now the definition that I want to call attention to is really important, all right? Because like the essay I referenced last week when we were talking about mall people, we talked about teenagers, and I said that, you know, old people who leave the retirement homes and go to the malls early in the morning to socialize are teens, based on that definition. Same kind of thing happens here. You might be thinking of aliens as a specific thing, but look at my definition, all right? Aliens are beings who get their powers or abilities as a result of having parents from or being born outside the normal, everyday world, okay? So what I try to do there is broaden the definition of what one might think of as aliens so that I can include things that aren't creatures from other dimensions, right? So then I go and I say, okay, yeah, like alien, like anybody born not on Earth, obviously is an alien, okay? But I'm trying to show how broad the category is, okay? So look at this sentence. Aliens can come from Earth as long as they or their parents are born in unique places, okay? So Wonder Woman, all right, she's born on some strange island. Namor and Aquaman are born underwater, okay? Hellboy's born in hell, all right? So at least Namor, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman are born on Earth, but they're not born on the normal Earth, right? They're born in, like, weird places. And so they qualify as aliens based on my definition, okay? All right, give me 1 second here. This is hooked up to my other computer. and when that shuts off, I have a special power cord that saves energy. All right. All right, so better definition, a better topic sentence here. Additionally, mutants are similar to aliens in that they were born with unique skills, but there's one key difference. Okay, so now I'm back to kind of trying to blend my transitions. I'm talking about mutants, but I reference aliens, which came before. Okay, and then I've got the definition, second sentence. Mutants are beings that were born on Earth to normal parents, but with powers and abilities. Okay. This category is not very broad. Mostly the X-Men, so I talk about some of their powers, but I do include this sentence, which I think is important. Because again, I'm trying to help readers understand these categories, right? So I mentioned Wolverine here. This is important because I'm going to reference him in the next paragraph, but I want to show the delineation. I want to show what belongs here and what belongs here. Okay, so Wolverine falls into this category on account of the enhanced healing factor and heightened senses with which he was born. Okay, so this ties directly back to my definition. And again, I'm doing this because he's also going to fall in the next category, and I'm going to use that to illustrate the difference between this category and this category. All right. Thanks to my student pointing out that I was wrong. I do have 4 paragraphs, just like this essay requires. All right. The last and by far most prolific category is altered humans. Okay. So now we've seen my 4 topic sentences. I'm definitely going to give myself a 3 in terms of transitions, and probably because of that one kind of weak topic sentence. But I'm definitely not blending anything except for that one, so I'd have to do a better job of that. Okay. Here's my definition. Altered humans are beings that had something happen to them that brought them into the world of superheroics. Okay. I'm going to pause here and talk about something else real quick. Prolific, biggest category. Okay, you're going to see in this paragraph that this is my biggest paragraph. Most characters are going to fall into this paragraph. The first paragraph was real short. I had 2 or 3 examples. Okay, so with the first essay we did, the narrative, we talked about using chronological order. Okay, and start at the beginning, move to the middle, go to the end. With our second essay, we talked about spatial order. Okay, so with a descriptive essay, you kind of want to have some sort of plan for moving through things. Okay. With a lot of essays, especially argumentative essays, use what's called emphatic order. E-M-P-H-A-T-I-C, emphatic order. Okay, and what that means is you start with your weakest point and you move to your strongest point. And you can see that I'm doing that here just based on the length of the paragraphs. They're getting longer. All right. As we're moving more towards argumentative writing, this is real important. You always want to finish on your strongest point. Okay, you always want to start building a case, and you want, you know, your last paragraph. That's the knockout blow. Okay, so consider that as you're setting up your essays. How can I move from my weakest to my strongest point? Okay, all right. So here's my definition. Altered humans are beings that had something happen to them that brought them into the world of superheroics. Okay, so these were just normal characters. They lived normal lives. Something happened. And now they, boom, now it's spandex time, I guess. Okay, so now again, I tried to give diverse examples to show how broad this category is, because this is by far the biggest. Okay, so some had accidents. I have a list. Okay, some don't have any powers at all. Okay, Batman and the Punisher, but they were just normal people, and something happened to them. Okay, Batman was going to the opera or whatever, went to a play. His parents got killed. Boom, I gotta get a cape. Okay, same thing with the Punisher. It's just a normal guy at the park with his family. They get shot. Okay, now I'm gonna go out and do stuff. Okay, so I talk about experiments. I talk about science stuff. I talk about like Green Lantern people. Okay. Again, here I'm trying to delineate. I'm trying to show the difference, right? You might look at the Silver Surfer and think, oh, he's an alien, okay? If he was powerful because he came from another planet, then yes, he'd be an alien, all right? But what I'm saying here is he was just a normal guy on his planet, living a normal life. Galactus came along and gave him powers. This is what makes him an altered human, okay? Same thing with most people from the Green Lantern Corps. If they have powers because they come from some other planet, they're aliens. If they were just normal people on their planet and they were given a Green Lantern ring, and that's why they have powers, we're going to call them altered humans. Okay, so again, some of these sentences are meant to delineate, to show where the divisions between categories exist. All right, this sentence is important based on what I said with the last paragraph. The aforementioned Wolverine, although a mutant because of his healing factor and heightened senses, also falls into this category because of the metal that was fused to his bones. Okay, so what I'm saying here is that Wolverine was born a mutant, right? He was born, he had special powers. If nothing else ever happened to him in life, he would be a mutant, okay? If he wasn't a mutant and he underwent this whole thing where they put metal to his bones, then he'd be an altered human, okay? He kind of straddles both in that both of those things happened to him, but he was a mutant because he was born with powers. You can call him an altered human because they put the metal on his bones, okay? If he wasn't a mutant and they just put the metal on his bones, he would be an altered human, okay? So there's my model. Now, hopefully, you're kind of thinking of other characters you've seen in television shows or comic books or movies or anything, and you can kind of use this model to kind of place them, okay? If you think of anybody that you want to talk about, you know, shoot me an email. Actually, everybody's going to shoot me an email. I'll talk about the homework in a few seconds. But, you know, as you're reading this essay, if you can think of anybody who doesn't fit, let me know, and we can talk about it, and we can see how the model applies. All right, so I give a little advice at the end. Okay, next time you go to a blockbuster superhero film, see if you can identify which category the protagonist falls into. Okay, so I'll give myself credit for conclusion strategy. If I'm going to be grading this honestly, I'll probably give myself an A, not an A+. I'm going to take off points for my topic sentence and transitions. I do not have blended transitions in this one, with the sole exception of one paragraph. Okay, so at this point we've looked at 3 different essays, and you've seen some models. I did this today to kind of reinforce some of the things I said about this assignment and what you have to do. So hopefully this is giving you a good idea of what to do yourself. I hope the discussion you had with your group, doing dates and sports and what else did I ask you to do? Music, which was a tough one, and friends also give you some ideas. Okay. According to the syllabus today, I was supposed to do a fact and opinion. I'm in fact going to bump that to next class. Okay, so all we have next class is that and peer review. So I'll focus on the PowerPoint with fact and opinion next class. Okay, that doesn't mean you're off the hook though. Like I said, we've got to catch up and we got to get this essay done so that we can move on to the argumentative with research. Okay, so here is the homework, the things I need you to do between now and our next class. I'm just grabbing my notes. Okay. So, at this point, you've turned in your midterm evaluation, that essay I asked you to do in 15 minutes. I'm recording this early, but hopefully, by the time you're listening to this, I've graded all those. That should be the case. Okay, so here's what I need you to do, all right? Typically, if we were meeting face-to-face, while you were doing peer review for this essay, I would be sitting down with each one of you and going over the results of that essay and going over basically all of your grades so that you kind of know exactly where you stand as we go into the last portion of the course. Okay? So I'm going to do that virtually, all right? So here's the homework for today's course. This is what you need to do to show that you are participating and so that I can mark you as present. Okay? I need you to send me an email, everybody. All right, if you want credit for today's class, everybody has to send me an email. Okay, write this down because I'm going to say this very slowly. All right, the email we're going to, via email, talk about your grades and talk about where you're at. Okay? So in this email you send me, I want you to do the following things. First of all, tell me what you're going to write about for this essay. Okay? Tell me what your thesis is, tell me what your model is. Okay? That way I can kind of make sure you're on the right track and give you some guidance there. Okay, so that's one. What are you writing about for your essay? Okay, then I want you to kind of self-assess your grade at this moment. Okay, so you're going to tell me what you think your grade is. All right, so here's some things that I want you to include in the email. Okay, tell me the grades you've gotten on your essays. Okay, I hope by now that you've gotten the first 3 back. So what grades did you get on those? Okay. Tell me how many quizzes you think you've taken and how you think you've done on those. Okay, I have those exact numbers and I'll give them to you when we communicate back and forth. But how many quizzes do you remember taking? How did you do on them? Are you reading? Are you not reading? Okay. Tell me your Connect score. Okay, look it up. Tell me exactly where you are. You know kind of about where you should be, but let's talk about where you are. Okay. Tell me if you've been to the Academic Success Center, and if so, how many times. Okay. Remember, I give credit for that. That's part of your discussion grade. It's not required, but it's kind of like an extra credit thing. So tell me if that's the case. Have you been visiting them? Okay. End the email by telling me kind of what you think your grade is based on these things. Okay. If you had to grade yourself right now, what grade would you give yourself? Okay. Everybody must do this to get credit for today's class. Okay. So I'll be looking for those emails. I'll be responding back to each of you, and I'm going to be doing 2 things. I'm going to be giving you all the numbers I have, okay, kind of tell you what grade I think you have at this point based on all of the information that I have. We could talk about what you need to do to kind of keep that, or if you're not happy with where you're at, to step it up. And I'll go over everybody's kind of topic for this essay, and we can kind of talk about how it looks and how it's working. I think that's all I have to say today. So I'm going to sign out, and I'll be looking forward to seeing those emails, and we will communicate back and forth. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.